The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, welcome. Welcome, everybody, to our 14-day Investing Income Challenge alert, special broadcast announcement. My name is Brian D'Amico. I am going to be one of the moderators today, the main presenter. His name is Ron Wheeler. In fact, he's here as well. I'll introduce him in just a second. We're a couple of minutes early. We're not actually starting the webinar right now, but we like to just make sure everything is working out all right. So if you could, let's do one quick test. If you could hear my voice in the chat box, just type in the word yes. Perfect. Kirk can hear me. Ian, you could hear me. That's great. So that lets me know that I'm coming through. Kathy, Jerome. And this is also a great way to see if you can find that chat box. That's perfect. In just a second, I'm going to bring Ron in because he's in a different location than I am. And when Ron introduces himself, if you can hear Ron in the chat box, type in the word Ron. How's that? So I'm going to bring Ron in now. So Ron, how are you?
I'm doing very well, Brian. Hopefully everybody can hear me as well. I actually started the YouTube, and I think I did everything right this time.
So, looks like that's working too. So we got Kirk and Kathy, Craig, Jerome. They're all saying Ron in the chat box.
I know. I
That's
see Ron
great.
flying by. I'm like, what? It's like my son. Ron, Dad. Then he will call me Ron, actually, to get my attention.
Oh dear. Well, we've got about 45 seconds until we officially start. 45 seconds, folks. Now's a great time to get a little notepad because we got a special announcement for everybody. In fact, Ron's going to be doing the majority of today's presentation. Myself, by the way, my name is Brian D'Amico. I'm going to be in the background with John Marabu. We're part of the education team here at VectorVest. So we will officially start in just a moment. So get yourself ready. It's great to have you here. Keep using that chat box, but Ron might be able to address some of the things that you might type in. We'll have a Q&A period at the end. Myself and John will be manning the chat box throughout today's session. You're in for a great session today. We've got a great special announcement for this income challenge. We hope all of you decide to take the challenge. And with that being said, I'm looking down at my clock. My clock says 4:30. So why don't we do this, Ron? Why don't we officially get things started? What do you say?
I am in.
All right, folks, let's officially kick things off for our special announcement today for the Investing Income Challenge. We're really excited about it here at VectorVest. It's been a year in the waits. It's been a year coming, and we're really excited about it. We're about to start, as it says there, an Investing Income Challenge, and we hope that all of you decide to take that challenge because generating income is super important. So we're going to tell you all about it today. In fact, it's all based on the fact that you need a way to generate income. You need a way to generate income. And generating income is critical to retiring with peace of mind. Right? Our goal was to kickstart your retirement by working closely with you for the next 14 days, for a 14-day challenge, where by the end, you will have placed your first income trade. All right, so ideally, it'll be the first of many, because we're going to teach you, we want to teach you and challenge you to place one of these every week. And we'll talk about this as we go through today's session. It'll be the first of many income trades that you do. And it might take you from wondering if you're going to have enough money to retire, which some people tell us when they come to us, like, I don't know if I'm going to have enough money to quit my job or retire when I want. Instead of doing that, it'll take you to where you have confidence that you're going to be able to have a worry-free retirement. Now, over the years, what we've done is we've developed a unique income system based on a certain belief. And that belief is that you can win even if you're wrong. Right? Win even if you're wrong. So winning even if you're wrong is the key to making consistent monthly income and steadily growing your account. And we feel that's only attainable through our unique income system. And let's face it, if you're like most investors, you're wrong more than you're right. And in fact, let me ask you, in the chat box, before we started today's session, we had you find that chat box. I want you to find that chat box right now and let me know in the chat box about, if you were to put it on a percentage, how many winners do you have compared to losers? For example, if you're 50-50, that'd be like 50%. If you feel that you have more, if you have more losers than winners, then you might be like 20% winners, 30% winners. Or you could just say, I typically get more losers than winners, or more winners than losers. So kind of give me an idea. Do you have more losers than winners? Or are you kind of 50-50? All right, so I'm seeing a couple of you are a little bit over 50. That's awesome. Siva and Shanjis. That's fantastic. But we have also Jerome and Kenton at around 30%. We have some people are saying a few more winners, and then we got some that are saying I got more losers. How about this? What we're about to talk about today is going to give those of you who have more losers than winners a chance to be successful. Imagine what it's going to do to you who are already having more winners than losers. All right, so think of it this way. If you're like most investors, or a lot of investors are wrong more than they're right. So stop trying to be right all the time. Instead, learn how to win even if you're wrong. And now you might be thinking, there's other places out there that teach just the income investing, just like income investing as a title. Don't other places out there teach income investing? How is this any different? Well, Ron and I have been around for a long time, and virtually everything that you see out there is either risky, it's complicated, or you need plenty of experience to do the trades. And Ron will probably touch on this later on because he's going to come in and do most of today's webinar. There are some places out there that teach you an income trade, and they don't tell you how risky it is. They just say, hey, you can just you look at that, you just made some money. And I know Ron has talked about this. He'll probably talk about it later. Instead, the system that we put together is safe, it's easy to do, and it requires no experience. All right, here are just a handful of some of the people that we've worked with. Now, first off, Jim. Jim came to us. He was inconsistent and unsatisfied with his results, but he learned the system, and his first 21 trades were winners. Then there's Mike. When he came to us, he said he had lost often, and he got to the point where he almost gave up. Like he almost just basically quit investing. But then he learned the system, and he made $12,000 of income in his first 4 months. Mark he actually works here at VectorVest. I sat down with him. He had like no experience at all with the income trade that we taught him, none. But after just 1 hour of working with him, he was able to place his first income trade by himself the very next trading day, and he did it in 10 minutes. And he just generated income from that trade. Not just income on that one trade. He actually closed the trade with income, right? It wasn't just like these tricks that some places do out there that Ron will probably talk about later. Lastly, I even showed my daughter how to place an income trade. And at the time, she was 14. And she obviously had never invested before in her life. She took the notes, she wrote them down in the spiral-bound notebook, and she placed the trade by herself. She logged into my account and placed the trade, but she was able to do it by herself. Now, in the chat, actually, I'm curious, in the chat box, are you like any of those people? Like, would you say that you've never, and I doubt that you're probably like my 14-year-old daughter where you've never invested before, but are you more like Mark, do you have limited experience? Or are you more like a Mike or a Jim where you lose often, you're inconsistent? Would you qualify yourself as any one of them? Let us know in the chat box. Glenn says, I'm a little bit more like Mike, where I lose more often. See, a lot of people are saying Jim, Siva, Ian, Malcolm, Kenton, all are saying inconsistent. Limited experience. Roger says limited experience. I lose on trades that I try for short-term gains on. Lose often and gave up, says Dave. Jerome says, yes, I'm more like Jim. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and fix that with this income challenge. All right. How were we able to take all of these people and help them successfully place income trades? Well, the answer to that is going to be the gentleman I'm going to bring in right now. His name is Ron Wheeler, because I can't take the credit for this. That goes to my friend and mentor, Ron Wheeler. He is actually one of the best option income coaches out there. He's the, at least the ones that I know of. He is absolutely amazing at what he does. He heads up our Ultimate Retirement Solution Group coaching program here at VectorVest for the last several years. In fact, he is one of a member of our education team. I want to let you know that we here at VectorVest, we've been around for over 30 years. This isn't just a fly-by-night company. You've probably heard of VectorVest because we've been around since I believe it's 1988. All right. And we've got an entire education team here at VectorVest. Ron's one of them, myself, John Marabu, we're all part of the team. All right. In fact, I'm going to bring Mr. Ron Wheeler in right now. Mr. Wheeler, how are you doing, my friend?
I am doing well, Brian. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it. I'm just looking at our education team, and I'm pretty sure that's not the scale.
Now, Ron happens to be the one with the red shirt in the front. Just kidding. All right. So, Ron, I think the first time I started working with you, you reminded me it was like 2015.
Yeah, it was. It was late 2015 when I first introduced the concept. I had started VectorVest in 2015. So after sitting at my desk for a couple months, I'm like, how can I make VectorVest work well with options? So I had been doing these types of spreads for a long, long time. So I got with you because you were kind of like the education expert, and I really thank you for kind of helping me learn education better. I knew the trading, but teaching it was still always a tough spot for me. But yeah, we got together in the fall of 2015 and started working on the base concept of teaching these types of income spreads. And then 2016, we launched our first class, if you remember.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Well, actually, what I'm going to do, Ron, is I'm going to I'm going to mute my microphone. Was that I'd love for you to, introduce this challenge that we've got for everybody, and kind of tell them, can you tell people basically how this works and what it's all about, so people can kind of say, well, hey, I want to join that challenge. I want to start that up. That looks like I want to do that. So I'm going to mute my microphone. Can you take over?
I can take over. Absolutely. So before I get to that, I want to just talk really quick about how this came about. How did I become an options trader? How did I start options trading as well? I've been trading now since 97, so it's been a long time since I've been doing this, like 24 years now. And I started off as a commodities trader. I traded futures contracts of anything from, rice to the euro. And I made a good living at that for a long, long time. And the problem that I had with that ultimately is because it really became a grind. I didn't want to sit in front of my computer for 6-7 hours a day. I didn't want to have the whole concept of if I got called away from my desk or something, or I'm just going to level with you. If I had to get up and go have lunch or go to the bathroom, I could miss a trade and that could screw up my whole day. Day trading is a grind, and I really wanted to get away from that. And one of my clients at that point was actually a hedge fund trader, and he traded for a hedge fund out here in the Midwest. And he was an options guy that really used a lot of the analysis that day that I taught. And he came to our office one time just to meet and greet us as he was flying through the area. And he's like, hey, Ron, I know that we do all this kind of stuff together. And he's like, I know you're not an options guy, but hey, I want to show you what I do with options. And his whole premise, to make a long story short, was he's like, Ron, I take the analysis that we do together, and then I apply an option strategy to it. That way, no matter what happens, I still have a chance to make money. If I think that crude oil is going to go up, I make money. But if it goes sideways, I can still make money. If it goes down, I still have a chance to make money. Where you're getting stopped out for a loss, I can still make money. And my whole thing was like, I'm sorry, what? That's possible? I didn't know you could do that. So I started dabbling with options, and then eventually I was able to really duplicate what I was doing financially with the futures market with options, and I had never looked back. I've become very passive as an options trader nowadays, and it's really everything that I do. I don't think I've traded a stock alone in a long time. It's pretty much all options at this point. So I wanted to give you guys that idea. That was a huge mindset shift for me, okay? That was a big thing. That was a mindset shift. I didn't have to be right to make money. So, let's kind of move forward here. And we developed a system that's based on that initial meeting that I had with my client. And what I wanted to do was do something that was simple. You know, as a futures trader, you're only looking at 7, 8, 9 markets at the most. So what I wanted to do is take that power of the futures markets and put it into something that I could trade easily. I didn't have to spend hours at a time looking for opportunities. So I've broken it down simply to one ticker symbol. You're not going to have to go through stocks. You're not going to have to find different markets to trade. It's just one market. That's it. There's only one type of trade that we're going to do. There's one entry rule. There's one easy profit rule. There's one stop criteria, and at most, this is a 1-week trade. So we can take anyone, regardless of their experience, and show them how to successfully place these income trades. And the results speak for themselves. This is 2019 when I first introduced this easy type income challenge trade, and that year we did 36%. Now I've back tested it because I haven't been trading this for 10 years. I've been trading variations of it, but I back tested this even going farther back to make sure that it worked effectively. And every year I back tested, it was effective and made good profits. Now this year has been a little bit slower, but if you take a look in the longer haul here since 2020, we're still up about 33%. Now, I know some people would say, you know, but if I just invested in the S&P 500, I'd be making money. And you're right, you would be, right? The S&P over the course of the last couple of years, 2019, 2020, 2021, has been up 40%. Now, one thing I will tell you this, it's easy to look back in hindsight and say, oh, I'll just buy the S&P 500 and sit on it for 2.5 years and make 40%. I get that question a lot. Well, Ron, you only made 33% and the S&P's up 40%, right? All right, 2020 was a great year for this. I can't remember my exact numbers, but somebody asked Ron, you know, you did really well, but if I'd have just bought the S&P in January, I could have done almost as good, right? I said, yes, you could have. Now, here's the thing. You got to be able to show me in January what the S&P is going to do in December. If you can give me that information, I'll let you know in January if you should just buy the S&P 500 or if you should employ some sort of a trading strategy. Now, even if you look at that SPX, right, look at the big dip we had during the coronavirus. I mean, you had a serious situation here where you had a nice rally and you gave back almost all of your gains. Now, you recovered them and that's great, but that's still a problem. So let's kind of take a look at this over the years, right? So in that first section, this is what our income challenge did. And you can see that there's parts of it where it kind of mimics the S&P. You have a little bit of drawdown, you have a little bit of an upward move, there's some drawdown here, kind of market goes up. And then kind of putting the last couple of years on that, you can kind of see how we're still outperforming the S&P 500 in the long haul. You know, we're up 69% going back to 2019 versus only 40% in 2000, you know, that same sequence. Now, the big thing that I want you to pay attention to simply is this. Look at the big number, look at the drawdown we had here during the coronavirus sell-off. It's a trick question. We didn't have drawdown during the coronavirus sell-off. While the market was selling off and you were losing and you had to reestablish from zero, we didn't have that problem. We just kept slowly and steadily making money. Now, like I said, it's been a little bit more neutral in the last couple of months, but when you look at it from more of a campaign nature, it's been very, very effective. So a big question is, well, how does it work? I talked earlier, you got to make a mindset shift, and this is the mindset shift you have to make. As a buyer, a typical trade only gives you a 50-50 chance to be a winner, right? Because there's only two ways the market can go. I mean, I guess you can say sideways too, but there's really only two ways the market can go. It can go up or it can go down, okay? Now, instead of having that buyer's mentality, no more coin flip, what we're going to do is we are going to get into what we call a seller's mentality. I think that this market is going to go up. As a seller, what we're going to do is strategically set up your trade using probability. Now, options have a built-in probability gauge, and it tells you that based on the history of the market that you're looking at, does it have a good chance to hit that price or does it not? Probability, in a nutshell, tells you where the stock or the market is not likely to go. All right? We think that the stock will go up. Well, from here, there's a 50-50 chance that the stock will go up. If you move that line down here, now you have a 65% chance of the stock being above that point, and you only have a 35% chance of it being below. So you're essentially picking a price that says, hey, I think this is going to go up, but as long as it doesn't go down to here, I can make money. And if you think about that, how's that typically work? If you were buying stocks or if you were doing anything else, you buy something right here. If it goes up, you make money. If it goes sideways, you don't. If it goes down, you take a loss. Well, again, we're not doing that anymore. If the stock or the market we're trading goes up, we still make money, just like you would any other trade. But if it goes sideways, we can still make money. We can still hit our profit objective in a sideways market. Now, just like a stock that you would buy, if the stock or the market goes down too much, we have a stop in there to limit our loss. Now, not every trade is going to be a winner, obviously. We're going to have some losers in this process. But the losers that we have are going to be what I call a proportional loss. Our trade averages over the last decade around $150 per contract win and around $150 per contract loss. So every trade you take, you're on average going to make 150. On the losers, you're going to lose 150. It's a proportional loss. All right. One of the things that get people in trouble, and Brian talked about this too, right? Options are risky. People don't do that. What they end up doing is they take trades where you can make $100 or you can lose 3,000. You can't do options trading that way. If you do, you're basically setting yourself for failure. Okay? Now, as a seller, you're putting the probability of success in your favor. This, to me, is the definition of an income trade. An income trade, very simply put, is one where you can make money even if you're wrong on direction. What I want you to do is I want you to think, for most of you, what is an income trade? For those of you that have not a lot of experience with options, maybe you have stocks that pay you dividends. A dividend is a type of an income trade, right? Because you're going to get that dividend no matter what the stock does. Now, hopefully the stock stays and keeps going in your direction. You make money on the stock, then you make extra money on the dividend. But even if the stock goes against you, right, the dividend is still coming. It's still a paycheck for you, right? Same idea here. I want to trade that I have a better than 50% chance of making money. And it's not because I'm this awesome technical chart reader and I have this way of an indicator that shows me 80% moves. No, it's because you're using the built-in probability of being a seller. These trades start with a 65% probability of winning. It's no longer a 50-50 shot. Now, a big reason why many people fail is because they're only giving themselves that 50-50 shot. They fail because they aren't putting probability on their side. And I want you to think of it another way. Who makes money over time? Is it the gambler or is it the casino? Okay? Obviously, the gambler is the one who doesn't make money over time. All right? The gambler is the buyer. And for every buyer, there's a seller. So instead of being the buyer, we're simply going to take the other side of the transaction. Now, you got to make that strategic shift. I've talked about it a couple times now. You're either going to continue being the gambler where you lose more than you win, or you're going to simply take the other side of the trade. And again, instead of having that 50% chance of winning, you're going to have at least a 65% probability of winning every time. And it's all about putting the odds of success in your favor and collecting a lot more winning paychecks, allowing you to steadily grow your account. Now, again, you've heard me mention the word options and immediately probably got scared or maybe even started to tune me out. Because you might be one of the many people who are lied to and taught that options are risky. In fact, the original reason that options were created was to reduce risk. That's the reason that options were created. If you buy a call, it's a limited risk, right? Options were made to be hedged on positions. It's all about limited risk. Now, Brian and I both have children here at home, right? Mine are still young. I have 3 kids under 5. When you have young children, you child-proof the house because normal, everyday, safe objects, trust me on this, my 2-year-old daughter is a nut job. Love her though, she's a sweetheart, but she is nuts. It can be harmful if used incorrectly. Now, in my house, to make matters worse, my wife is a pediatric nurse practitioner. So, and she works in the emergency room. So all she sees, oh my God, you could the arguments. We don't really argue. The discussions that she and I have about probability. She'll call me and say, "You need to move this off of that shelf." I'm like, "Why?" Because I just sewed up this kid with 32 stitches who did that. I'm like, "Okay, honey, but what you didn't see was the other 300,000 kids that did the same thing today that were not injured." I don't care. So that's my life sometimes. She's the safety expert. I'm the probability guy, and sometimes, we have we have issues. But at the end of the day, it's kind of interesting because both of our core beliefs is about risk aversion, right? She wants to keep the house safe. I do options to avoid risk. Our core is all about risk aversion, right? For example, scissors, right? Scissors are great, but not in the hands of a 3-year-old running around the house. I cook a lot, and I do a lot of cooking, and I do a lot of chopping food. My wife goes absolutely nuts when I let my 4-year-old, almost 5, help me cut vegetables. Now, it's completely safe. I've got him right there, but she goes nuts because, oh my God, he can get hurt. Well, to be fair, the only person that ever got hurt was me. He sliced my finger a couple times, but, that's okay. A lot of people, getting back to options, were taught about options from the viewpoint of that 3-year-old, right? People end up using options, taking a lot of risk. And instead, when they're used correctly, options actually reduce your risk. Now, here's what I mean. Brian mentioned this earlier. Brian brought to my attention, it's probably been a year now, there was a video on YouTube, right? And he's like, "This is what we're up against, Ron." So this company basically was outside a store or something. And they grabbed a person off the street. I think it was a woman. I'm not sure. It could have been a man. It doesn't really matter, woman or man. But they grabbed a person off the street and they're like, "How would you like to create income from the market with no experience?" And of course, it was probably not all set up, but oh my God, that'd be great if I could do that. Well, let me show you what to do. They took her into a brokerage account and they told her to click the button on sell for an option. She sold it, got filled, and they said, "You just created $200 in premium. You made $200 on that transaction. How easy was that?" Well, it's partially true. When she sold that option, that account did get paid $200, whatever it was. But what they didn't tell you was the risk of selling that option. When you sell an option and you do it wrong, you're going to have all of this risk that you see, right? You sell an option, you're going to have basically an almost unlimited risk. Because if that market or stock, whatever you sold an option on, has a big, huge day the next day or a big gap based on some random news, you're going to be left holding the bag on a position that you thought you were going to make $200 on, and maybe the worst you thought you could do is lose 500, but that market makes some kind of sudden turn or volatility picks up, and all of a sudden you're down $5,000. Oh, that $200 that you just quote unquote made, it's not so easy. So when you trade options and you're a seller, when you do it correctly, we're going to be reducing our risk to this amount. We believe you should trade options responsibly, the way that they were meant to be used. Now, our system uses options correctly and it reduces your risk. And you can see here, instead of having all that downside risk, the way we do it shrinks the risk just to that very small amount. So let me show this to you guys graphically. I want you to pardon my cartoon imagery, but I think it helps picture things a little bit better and it helps you understand it a little bit more. All right, someone who does it wrong, they basically experience something like this, right? They make a little bit of money, looks good, money's coming in, money's coming in, money's coming in, money's coming in, and then all of a sudden, one bad trade wipes out everything. I cannot tell you how many times I have heard that story. And people ask me, "Ron, has that ever happened to you?" And I say, "No, it hasn't." "Well, you must be doing something special." Well, I am doing something special. I don't take trades where that could happen. I would never take a trade that could wipe out 6, 7, or 8 of my gains. That's the beauty of options. We know our risk up front, and if the risk is like that, I wouldn't take the trade. Now, the way that we do it is we minimize losses. Instead of having this big loser that wipes out all of your gains, we're going to minimize losses. So if you think about what we're doing, we're going to combine a high probability system, which means you're going to have a lot of winners. We're going to combine that with having minimized losses. And when you do that, this is what happens. So I'm going to show you kind of an example of 20 trades, right? You have a win. You make a little bit of money. You have your second win. Things are looking good, right? Third win comes in. But then, we have our loss. Well, here's the idea. That's your loss. You basically lost one trade. We actually had 2 losers in a row. Okay? No problem. We're losing only a little bit at a time. Now we go on another streak. Win. Maybe we lost then. Win, win, win. Maybe a loss. Maybe another loss. Maybe another loss. Win, win, loss. Win, 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 win. That's the idea. You're going to have something where you're going to have, after the end of the day, a positive gain because we're limiting our losses. All right? At the end of those 20 trades, you're net positive and you're growing your portfolio steadily. The idea that returns something like this. This is the end result of the last 3 years, basically, of this system. All right? So who do you want to be? All right? Do you want to be the gambler? The one who gets wiped out? Maybe you win occasionally, right? But over time, you're going to be a loser. Trust me on this. I love going to Vegas. I love playing craps. I don't do it because I want to go out there and necessarily win money. I do it because it's fun. Okay? But kind of like gambling, kind of like my trading, right? I don't go to the craps table and, get a second mortgage on my house and try to bet that to win. No, I lose small amounts that I'm comfortable with where I'm having a good time, right? Sometimes I do really well. Sometimes I lose money. At the end of the day, I probably haven't made any money being a gambler and being a craps person, but that's okay. I'm having fun. I'm going out there. I'm having nice dinners, doing all kinds of neat stuff, and I like it. It's fun for me, right? But that's not how I am going to set up my retirement. The gambler gets wiped out. Do you want to be the casino instead? The casino is the one that wins. If you look at a lot of casino games actually have a very, very, very small advantage, 1%. But the cool thing that the casinos do is they do that 1% a lot. So that's how that big palace in the desert's been built. Now, would you be up for the challenge? Would you be up for an income challenge knowing all of that? Do you want to place that first income trade? Do me a favor. Let me know in the chat. Let me know. Are you up for the challenge to do this? Can you see yourself doing this type of trading? All right. I start seeing yes. Jay, you were first. And then Vital and Malcolm and Glenn. All right. Now the numbers are starting to where I can't even read them all. Mark and Ragu, welcome to you guys. And yes, definitely, absolutely. Joe, you too. All right, there's a lot more I can't read, but I kind of try to at least acknowledge that you guys that it's live and I'm listening to you. All right, so here's the idea. All right, we're starting what we call the investment income challenge. We believe this income system is the most influential and effective strategy that we've ever taught. And it's changed the lives of countless people, and I'm confident it can do the same for you. So you're probably wondering, how do I get started with this? We put together the Investing Income Challenge to help you place your first of many income trades in the next 14 days. This is simple. This is easy. I'm not going to have to teach you this over the next 3-4 months. It's not that difficult. That's the beauty of this. So here's how we're going to do it. As soon as you register, your challenge starts. You're going to receive immediate access to a series of training videos, which essentially will walk you through the trade. Then, on October 4th, you're going to be placing your first income trade with me. We do our trades every Monday, which is why I selected that day. Now, you could even place your first trade on the 27th if you're a real go-getter, right? Now, one thing I also want to say is you don't have to take trades on Monday. You can take them any day during the week. But I have a class that I do here at VectorVest where I coach people on this, and we do our trades on Monday because it just fit the schedule. All right? Our training videos will look a lot like this. We're going to teach you how the trade works. And don't worry, we explain it in a way that anybody can understand it. You don't need to be an option expert. Remember, Brian taught it to his 14-year-old daughter. So we're going to make sure that you understand exactly what's going on. Then we're going to teach you how to control risk so you don't get bulldozed. Now, over the next few videos, we're going to show you what to trade, when to trade it, and how to set up the trade. After that, we're going to give you 3 very simple rules to managing the trade, and then we'll show you how to enter the trade with your broker. Now remember, this training will not take you weeks to go through. You can be done in a single afternoon. As I said before, generating income is critical to retire or even work with a peace of mind. You know, a personal story. You know, my wife is in medicine. During COVID last year, we were a little concerned about her job. I don't think she was going to get laid off, but she works in the emergency room. You know, I was telling Brian that she worked a double shift yesterday and she saw like 52 or 53 patients. It's been very busy in the emergency room. On an average, she sees anywhere from about 15 to 25 patients during a shift, right? Last year during COVID, there were shifts where she saw 0 or 1 because everybody was afraid to go to the emergency room. And the people that did go to the emergency room, they were pre-screening. Okay, you don't need to be here. Go see your doctor. You're not going inside the hospital where COVID is running ransom, right? Now, however you think about COVID, it doesn't really make a difference because that's how the hospitals were back then. So they were laying off medical staff. They were laying off nursing. They were even cutting hours of doctors and other providers. Well, I have other income streams that I can bring in through my trading. We weren't really worried about that. It would be a bummer, but she was actually able to take a lot of time off when they offered it to her. Hey, do you want to just take this day off instead of working? Yes. Now here's the cool part though, I will say about that. At the end of that, when it all ended, the hospital she worked for at the time was awesome enough to actually give her all that money back that she missed out on. They're like, we're just going to write you a check for what you missed out on. That's pretty cool. I liked it. Well, anyway, like I said, that's a personal story about how, you know, in something like that, it was like, well, what do we do for money? Well, we don't need to do anything for money. I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. We're fine. Don't you worry about it. Take as much time off as they're going to give you. Okay? Now, I'm still a working person. I'm not retired yet. I'm still a little bit away from retirement. Hopefully I retire quicker than I want to, but hopefully, you know, I can make that happen. Now, Gordon's one of the clients that went through this. He successfully completed the challenge of learning the trade. He said, just want to thank Ron for teaching me a method to create this monthly income. I'm new to options investing, and I wish I would have took the course sooner, but let the fear of options stop me. I finished the June course and I've managed to make 3% of my trades for the month of July. 3% for the month of July. If you take that to a year, that's about 36%. And you actually kind of saw that in the back testing. So not only was it back testing, you're seeing Gordon actually doing it. Now, we get posts like this every week where people talk about their weekly trades. Dan said he got a notification from Thinkorswim with his trade exiting with profits. He says another win following Ron's teaching. Other at it, Bob, Terry, Knighton, they also closed at profits. And Brian, who you heard from, even Brian at the end was there. And then I was there too. I said, same here. I missed this in my account. Forgot to do the text alerts. That's the cool part, by the way. When you get profitable on these trades, it's basically just you have orders already set in there, so the broker just takes care of it and you're out. Now, Nav had posted that he started paper trading and so far had a 75% winning trade with average profit of 575. Now, there's a couple of important notes here. 65% probability is the baseline. That's what I've tested this thing to over the last decade, right? But that's also in real trading that we've done as well. It can even be greater than that since we teach kind of a secret weapon. We're going to show you how to use market direction to increase that probability even more. Varney, for instance, had 18 out of 20 successful trades. That's a 90% winning rate. Here's a post here I posted that my trade closed, and once again, others joined the conversation. Now, I've got one circled here. Bruce had said, great morning, $4,600 on the 11-day SPX, right? Bruce made $4,600 on that trade. So you can scale this up too. Remember earlier I told you that the average trade's 150 bucks? Well, guess what? Bruce scales his up a little bit more than 150 bucks. You can scale it up and you can scale it down. Now, you remember Mark from earlier? He learned the trade on a Friday, placed his first trade on a Monday. The trade closed on Wednesday for profits. He made 250 bucks on his first trade, which only took him 10 minutes to place. Now, again, you might think 250 bucks, is that a lot of money? Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Bruce had scaled up and made over 4 grand. Mark was just starting off, so he wanted to start on the smaller side and made 250 bucks. So, is $250 a lot of money? Well, maybe not in the grand scheme of things, but consider two things. Not many people make 250 bucks an hour, much less in 10 minutes. That trade only took him 10 minutes to perform. Sure, it took a day and a half to get profitable, but the actual work associated took him less than 10 minutes. And this isn't a trade that you do just once. You do it every single week. Now, as we said earlier, not all are going to be winners, but over the course of the year, the winners exceed the losers, and that lets your portfolio steadily grow. Now, all these people we looked at today, they're not professionals. They're not financial advisors. They're ordinary people like you and me. Some had no experience at all. But the thing they all have in common now is they've created a system for themselves to allow for a worry-free retirement. Now, before I give you the link to join the challenge, I want to talk about something first. There's 5 commitments that I need from you. Number 1, you're willing to follow a step-by-step rules-based system. Sometimes people see a simple system, they try to change the rules and do their own thing. I need your commitment that you'll be able to follow a very step-by-step rules-based system. One of the differences that you're going to see in this investing income challenge is there's no ambiguity here. There's no subjectiveness. I'm going to give you the exact rules to follow. You're going to do this, 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 and this. There's no interpretation. There's no, okay, I got to check this, this, this. I got to make sure this is right and the volatility's here. And no, it's simple step-by-step procedures. We're going to give you the simple rules. We're going to give you a checklist that you can use to place these trades each week. You just need to commit to following them. The second commitment is that you're willing to take a lot of small wins and have fun. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not for you if you want to be the gambler. But if you want to be the casino and put that probability on your side, this is tailor-made for you. Now, the third commitment is that you're going to make sure that your brokerage account is set up for these trades. If you already have a trading account, you may already have this set up. But if you don't have your account set up for these trades, many times all you got to do is call your broker or simply set it up online. Now, these trades require a margin account and level 3 trading access. So call your broker. They can get you help set up on this. You just need to tell them, hey, I'm going to be doing vertical spreads. Now, I've spoken to many brokers about this, and they say that these are the trades with options that they want people doing because they're low risk, right? There's not some unlimited risk amount that you have. It's a fixed risk system. So again, your broker can help you in a matter of minutes if you're not set up. Now, the fourth thing is that you're okay with that low risk system. You need to be able to take small losses and live to trade another day. So here's what I'm talking about with the system. On the left, you find your trading account size. Now, by the way, the minimum account that you're going to need to do this trade is $5,000. Why? Not because it costs you $5,000 to do the trade, quite the opposite. It's about risk. I don't want you risking half of your account to do this trade. I want you to risk a very small amount. If you kind of look at that, right, what is $150 of $5,000? It's 3%. I don't want you risking more than 3% of your capital. Okay? Now, if you have a larger account, that's fine. Okay? That works as well. Now, if you had the minimum account size, the most we teach you is to risk on any trade is $150. If you have a $10,000 trading account, the most you will risk on any trade is $300. Okay, so you need to be okay. Sorry, I had a microphone malfunction there. It kind of fell off my head, so I need to stop talking. So you need to be okay with a low risk system. Now, the fifth thing is you're okay with that steady growth and not that get rich quick mentality. When you combine the small wins with high probability and low risk, you're going to see steady growth. If you're looking to strike it rich on one trade like hitting the lottery, this isn't for you. But if you like that steady growth with lots of winning trades and low risk, this is for you. So are you okay with this? I want you to find your capital or your account size on the left. Now listen, you can keep going above $150,000 if you want to as well. But I'm just using examples of account size. The average return per year would be on the right based on our historic norms. $5,000, $2,100. $10,000 account, $4,200. $150,000 account, $63,000. Okay? I want you to look at where your portfolio would be. How much would you risk doing this system? All right? Then I want you to write down the number on the right. Write it down, seriously, write it down and circle it. And I want you to think about two things. First, if I offered you that amount every year in exchange for $9.95, would you take it? I'm not going to ask you for $9.95. It was just a hypothetical question. The second thing to consider is this. That number that you just wrote down, think of that as what it will cost you not to do the challenge. That's what you're going to miss out on. So here's the details of the challenge. You're going to get the income system training course to take you from not knowing anything about income trades to where you're able to confidently log into your brokerage and place that first trade by yourself. You're going to get live check-ins during the challenge to make sure that you're on track to place that first trade. So again, you're going to be placing your first trade with me on October 4th. All right? Between now and then, we're going to meet several times and we're going to have live check-ins via webinar to make sure you're on track to place that first trade. Plus, as an extra bonus, after you place that first trade, we're going to continue to work with you for the entire month of October. Every Monday, we'll give you our trade of the week and walk you through it live. Then we'll get together live at the end of the week to check in with you, answer questions, talk about the trade, and we're going to make sure that you're on track. So at this point, you have a choice. Option number one, you can do nothing. Stay where you are. If you already have enough money to retire, you don't need income, then you don't really need to do this. But if you'd like to make some extra income and steadily grow your account, that leaves you with one other option. Generate income now. Now, of course, listen, you can try to do it alone. If you're willing to work hard, spend hours in front of your computer, learn by trial and error, you might be able to pull it off. Or, as I always like to say, let's take the path of least resistance. Let us guide you through this during the challenge. Let me show you how to do it, walking you through each part of the trade. So circle that October 4th on your calendar. Write it down if you don't have a calendar handy and circle it. Will you watch that day come and go like so many people? Or will you be among those who remember that day as the day they placed their first income trade? So here's the opportunity in front of you. The income challenge starts Monday. If you want to join me and have your first income trade placed by October 4th, then go to www.vectorvest.com/join challenge, and we'll put that link in the chat window for you. And together we're going to do this. So if you're ready for the challenge, it's only $4.95, and I'll take you by the hand and help you place that first income trade in the next 2 weeks. Now here's a guarantee. I believe so much that you will love this income system that you'll easily complete it. We have a 100% money back guarantee. You can go through the entire challenge, and if you're not satisfied, you can get all your money back. So there's no risk to you. But you got to make those 5 commitments that we talked about earlier and show me that you've done the work. Give it your best effort. If you don't do the work, you won't be eligible for a refund. Now, we're also counting on you to be not one of those people out there who will take the challenge, learn the system, and then still ask for a refund. Because that's not fair for either of us, especially not fair for us, right? We only want people to join the challenge if they're serious and excited to get started. So we hope you're one of them. Now, the one thing I'll also tell you is this, right? We start these challenges, we start trading, and listen, your first or your second trade out of the gate may be a loser. It happens. I mean, I can't tell you that we're going to start winning right away, right? You're going to have winning streaks. You're going to have some losers here and there. So I don't want you can't judge any income challenge or income system off of 1 month of trading. That's why I showed you over the course of a couple of years. You're going to have ups, you're going to have downs, but you're going to have consistency throughout that. So if you're also the type to say, okay, I'm going to give this 4 weeks and I'm done, don't. Okay? I don't care if your first 4 weeks are 4 winners in a row or 4 losers. Those 4 winners or those 4 losers are not going to tell you anything about the future. Okay? That part of the equation is simply luck. When did you start doing the income system? Right? Some people start it when it's up, some people start it when it's down, some people start with 15 winning trades in a row, some people start with 2 losers. Right? That is how randomness works. This is a campaign approach. All right? Now, ask yourself, what's it going to cost you not to do this? Early, you wrote down a number and circled it. That was your potential gain each year. Would you exchange $4.95 one time to get that number each year? If the answer is yes, go to vectorvest.com/join challenge and get registered today. Now, registration for the challenge is only open until Monday, so get signed up now. Just again, go to www.vectorvest.com/join challenge. And if you know this is right for you and you're joining me in this, simply type 2 words in the chat box. I'm in. We're going to welcome you to the class by name. We're going to tell you what's going to come next. I'm going to bring my colleague Brian back in here, and he's going to talk about what comes next, and we'll also do some Q&A together.
Here I come flying back in, Ron.
Awesome.
So here I am back in. We already have a bunch of people signed up. And in fact, earlier today, I was getting people into that. We have a private Facebook group that we started for this challenge, and we've already got a bunch of people already in there. So welcome to all of you who are in. If you're in, there's an email that's coming to you almost immediately with all the details. I mean, there's a lot of live sessions. I think for such a short class, Ron, for only $495 and it's a 14-day challenge, with all the training content, they can go through the training in about an hour if they bust through it all. I think we do the most amount of live sessions with this challenge compared to maybe some of even our full 7-week type classes that we do. I mean, you're going to have in the first 14 days, what is it? Wednesday, Friday with you. And then basically for the next month after that, it's going to be Monday, Friday. So they're going to have a lot of Ron time and a lot of live touches with instructors, mainly you.
Right. And the classes aren't that long. I mean, so when you learn the classes, they're only 15 minutes at most. That's the beauty of this. It's not that hard. Brian, it's kind of funny. Speaking of needing income for retirement, I just got this in my email. My new Social Security statement is available.
Ooh.
Woohoo! I'm not going to open that because I'll probably be... Now, by the way, guys, I'm 45 years old, so I'm pretty far away from that, But, it's just kind of funny that just came right now.
Well, for those of you who are in, like I said, check your email. We're going to be here for whatever questions that you've got. The other things I did want to touch on is regarding pricing. Some of you have already taken, Ron teaches a more in-depth income class called the Options Paycheck. Some of you here today are graduates of that class. Check your email because this morning, actually yesterday morning and this morning, we would have sent you a special promotion with a super secret link that we don't want you to share because it would give you the course for only $95. All right, so it's a Paycheck alumni discount. So some of you have taken the full class with Ron. If you want to do this income challenge with him, you get a special discount. Use the link that we sent you in an email. Of course, you could always call our office. We can help you. But it's for alumni of the Options Paycheck class. Okay? All right, so let me take a look at the questions, Ron, here, and go through them for you or with you. As far as brokers, Ron, I'm looking at Alex's question. He says, I use Thinkorswim, but definitely interested if I don't have to subscribe to anything extra. So first off, let's talk about brokers. Is there any specific broker that they must use, or is it pretty much open to whatever broker they want?
It's pretty much open to whatever broker you want to use. I happen to use Thinkorswim as well, but Interactive Brokers is fine, E-Trade's fine, Schwab is fine, Fidelity, Questrade, they're all fine. There's really nothing that you'll be missing out on from any broker because this is easy. It's not really something that you have to, worry about. So brokers are really irrelevant. Just use whoever you want.
Yep, and this can actually be done. This is one of those things that they could do solely with their broker. Like there is a part of the class that talks about market timing, and you talk about a VectorVest market timing signal, but in the very same breath, you say, oh, well, here's a way that you could do it with your broker. But basically everything else, they could do just with their broker. Is that right?
Right, and that's exactly right. There's nothing that you have to subscribe to. There's nothing that you will need going forward to complete this trade. So, there's nothing where I can say, okay, the big advantage here is if you use my software, you're going to be able to do this, 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 and this. This trade is so simple that you don't need anything. You go to your broker, I'm going to give you the exact details of how to trade it, and that's pretty much it.
All right, this next one is regarding the schedule. Roger wanted to know that you showed a calendar that had some sessions on it. Can we just maybe go over the dates and the times of those sessions, and maybe just recap what's done in those sessions again? And if you want me to do it, I could do it, Ron, or if you want to touch on them, that's fine too.
Sure, I can do it real quick. So the first actual session starts next week, the 22nd. Okay, so what that check-in is, we're going to do 4 check-ins, and those check-ins are at 4:30 Eastern time, right, Brian?
Yes.
Okay, I never want to guarantee it because I'm not sure. So those check-ins are going to be at 4:30 Eastern time. Now, what we're going to do is they're basically a way for you to go in. You're going to watch the recordings, you're going to watch the instructions, and then those check-ins are basically an opportunity for you to ask us questions. All right, Ron, on 1 and 2, I've got questions. 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8. The particular modules, we'll check in there and make sure everybody is on pace for October 4th, where you're going to place your first trade. Now, that first trade is going to start, the class usually starts around 9:30 in the morning as soon as the markets open. They are recorded, by the way, so if you can't see it, you're going to see the recording. Now, one thing I will tell you is that if you don't watch that live class, you're going to have to put the trade on your own. You're going to have to just use the rules we talked about, because if I put a trade on with you guys at 9:35, if the market moves by 2 o'clock, you're not going to be using the same trade I did that morning. So that's more of just a way for you, for those of you that can join me live on Monday mornings, to trade along with me. But even if you can't do it live, you can still go back there and say, okay, now I see how Ron is doing it, and you can kind of work that for the rest of the way. Now, after that, on Friday the 8th, and again, all of these Fridays are simply check-ins, and they're at 4:30 Eastern time. And basically, it's just a weekly review. All right, what did we do? What happened to the trade? Did we win? Did we lose? Are we still in it? What's the situation? And then for the next 3 weeks after that, we've got the same thing. 9:30 in the morning on Mondays, we'll place our live trade, and then on Friday, we will review that live trade.
And the great thing, for this class, we're doing something differently than we did a year ago. We are doing a Facebook group. Now, even though Ron and I, we're not huge fans of Facebook itself, it happens to be a necessary evil, but it is a great place to go and talk to you. Like, we're like, all right, well, the company of Facebook, we're not big fans of, but it gives us a chance to interact with you. That's the benefit that we see it as. We're like, all right, we're in there, and we're a little community of little income challengers together. It gives you a way to interact with your fellow classmates, the people who are just like you going through the challenge. You can interact and communicate back and forth with everybody. You can talk to us. You could post questions. We gather questions in there. So it's not just even just those Monday and Friday sessions. If you join that group, and you could even, if you don't like Facebook, you could use a fake name. But when you sign up for the group, you just say, hey, VectorVest, this is who I really am. And that way we know who you are and let you in. All right. So there's resources where you can get help even in between the live sessions from us and from your fellow students. All right. So Ron, David says, I'm going to be on vacation during one of those weeks. Can I start after I get back?
Well, technically, sure, you can. But the class itself is kind of at a fixed schedule, so you'll be able to watch the recordings that we do. But yeah, you can start at any time that you want.
Yep. And David, you could actually start now.
Right.
Like, as soon as you sign up right now, you can go through all the training right now. You could join the Facebook group right now. Start talking to us on Facebook before we even do a live session, which is next week. And that way you'll have already gone through all the training. You could start to ask questions, get some help. And you can even, we've stored all of the recordings of our live Q&As from last year. You can, if you have the time, you can go back and kind of watch those sessions and see what those are like. And you'd be like, oh, well, this is what I would have been missing, or I would be missing on the week that I'm on vacation. All right, Ron, this one is from Siva. It's actually an interesting question. Siva looks to be a member. You have a coaching group, actually like a full-fledged coaching group where you meet with clients in a webinar. Was it 3 or 4 times a week?
Right.
Where you do trades with them 3 or 4 times a week. And specifically, you spend about an hour every Monday doing SPX income trades. So if somebody's in that group, I wouldn't, personally say they would have to join this challenge because they're actually doing these trades with you every Monday. Exactly. Is that a fair statement?
That's a very fair statement, yes.
All right. So Siva, if you're in that coaching group, that's your answer. Ian says, what time of day are the live classes? So hopefully you asked that about 10 minutes ago or so. Hopefully Ron's answer a moment ago answered your question. Douglas is saying, does the training include identifying the best candidates for the trades going forward?
There's only one candidate. There's only one thing you're going to be trading. So technically the answer to that is yes.
Yep. I love that part of the class, Ron. It's like, you don't even have to do any searches. You don't have to be a good chartist. Somebody in our coaching today was like, I'm looking at this chart of this stock and I'm noticing a flag pattern here. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You just have the ticker symbol and you have simple rules to follow. It takes so much of the complexity out of things. It's just super simple.
Indeed.
Let's see. Moving on. I'm just kind of scrolling through some of your questions, folks. Ragu says, can this be done in Canada? I use Interactive Brokers.
We do have Canadian clients, so yes, I believe that the answer is it can be.
Now we're going to focus on the SPX, which is traded on the U.S. markets. But so you could trade. Now Ron, if they had a symbol like an index similar in their options market, or would you say, hey, we can't guarantee changing the ticker symbol and changing the market, but if they could trade the SPX in Canada, then it's fine? Or what would you say to that?
No, I would say that. I mean, I can't guarantee that it's going to work on any other market. But yeah, as long as you can trade the SPX in Canada, you should be good to go.
All right, cool. All right. Barbara. All right, so Barbara, it looks like John is helping you in the chat. So I'll just kind of skip past that. So it looks like you and John are talking back and forth in the chat. Adriana, we don't have that set up. That's something that we could definitely consider, but we have not set something like that up as far as doing this course and then doing the options paycheck course. But let's, I don't know who famously would say, let's do this one first, and then you could think about what if you want to do something more in the future. Kathy says, if I miss a class, will there be a replay? Definitely. In fact, Ron, I don't know if you have a moment. Can you actually log into the course and we could just show people what it looks like?
Give me 1 minute here and we'll get in there.
I always forget to ask you to do this.
I always forget to have it ready.
I mean, this probably would have been something good to show, right after we introduced the challenge to everybody. Be like, hey, look, this is all the stuff that you get.
I just messed it up, so it's going to take me a couple seconds. When I'm impatient, it's like when you hit the elevator button twice. It really doesn't like that. All right, except there it is right there. So view, and there you have it right there. So
all right, so you can. Oh, go ahead, Ron. You got it. You got the controls.
When you log right in there, you're going to see basically everything is already laid out for you. It's all done in essentially 9 steps. So, we talk about what to trade, controlling your risk. And the cool thing right under here under Let's Get Started, there's a video about, how to start. There's an income challenge checklist. There's a link to our Facebook group, course introduction video, and then you just get right into it. I also made videos for certain brokers like E-Trade and Ally and Thinkorswim. We're going to make sure that you kind of understand what you're looking for in the broker. Now, I don't have access to every single broker, so I can't make videos for everybody, unfortunately. But this will at least give you a guide to some of the brokers out there. You'll see me using Thinkorswim Live. Your weekly webinar links if you need them, the check-ins recordings, the weekly trade class recordings, all that stuff is just right there on that member's website or that university website.
All right. Let's see. Investor, that's the only name I see. You started this video a little late, you say. Do you have a recorded video for me to watch it? Well, so today, you'll get an email tonight. All right. For more information. I'm not sure how to pronounce this name correctly. Let's say Plagojevic. Tried my best. This is actually, if you've taken the full options paycheck program, there is a bonus module which teaches this technique. I think what we've done in this challenge is we took that bonus module and we tried to, I don't know how the best way to say it, Ron, is we think of it like an accordion. We just kind of stretched it out and then we we made sure we covered a lot of the details that we could have included, but the bonus module in the options paycheck will cover it all. This one, we give you a lot more supplemental materials and a lot of the extra live sessions to go along with it.
Right.
But that's why, since it's basically the same thing as the bonus module, that's why if you're an options paycheck student, you only have to pay $95 for this, mainly for all the live sessions that you're going to get. All right. Samuel says, how many trades per month with this?
Well, typically you're going to be doing 4, right? Because you're going to be placing a trade every Monday. I'll talk a little bit in the actual course itself if you want to do multiple trades, because if you hit a profitable one on Wednesday, you can certainly do another one. But at a minimum, you're going to basically be doing 4 trades a month.
All right. Adriano wants to know if you could put that schedule back up on the screen one more time.
Certainly. I'll leave that one on there for a couple minutes first. That's the first part that starts September 22nd. Again, these guys here are at 4:30 Eastern time, these ones, and this one's going to be a little bit after 9:30 when the market opens up.
All right. While that's there, remember the link is in the chat box. Just go to vectorvest.com/join challenge. vectorvest.com/join challenge. You just have to click on that link. It'll bring you to the page. And yes, Lucine, the cost to join this challenge is only $495 US dollars. And Kathy says, is this a good refresher if you've taken the options paycheck course on the SPX?
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah, I mean, because it goes over all the details. It's, we kind of stretch the education out of the SPX trade, whereas on the paycheck, it's just a video that you watch, whereas this one's a little bit more in-depth just to learn that system a little bit more, in-depth, I guess you could say. I know I said that word twice, but that's the best way to put it. It's kind of like a more detailed approach into everything.
And Roger, you said it's 4 weeks, and then we're kind of on our own at the end of the course. I'll give my 2 cents, and then let Ron take over. Basically, it's almost like 6 weeks, by the way. So you're going to be with us starting today. Live sessions start next week, all the way through the end of October. So that's a lot of live sessions and plenty of time for you to practice and do it on your own. I mean, it's one trade, very simple rules. You have 6 weeks to get used to it. Plus, what we did when we did this last year is we did leave the Facebook group open for the people who were in last year's class. So we don't have, when you join the Facebook group, you can interact with the people in the Facebook group. And we will probably pop in every once in a while, see how you're doing if you have a question. But you have a community of friends who've gone through the class after these 6 weeks if you need some help. Ron, did I miss anything, Ron? Do you want to add anything?
Nope, I don't think so.
All right. David says, what happens after October? How do we determine which stock ticker to use?
There's nothing. There's one option. There's that one market that you have to do. So you don't have to figure out anything. You're always going to be placing this trade on one stock and one market only.
All right. And Roger, if you do want to learn an entire system where you can, okay, I always think of it as, you know how like taps of water? You can think of this as Ron's turning on one income tap, like he turns on the faucet and income is coming out of it. Well, if you want to open up more taps of income, you might turn on another tap, which would be doing trades on individual stocks. You could turn on another tap and do iron condors. You could turn on another tap and do dividends. You could turn on another tap and do covered calls. You could do another tap and like sell naked puts if you wanted to. So there's a bunch of different taps you could open up. This is the quickest way to grandma's house, as Dr. DeLito, the founder of VectorVest, would say. The quickest way to income is this. It requires the least amount of experience. You could do it right away, learn it very quickly. And then if you want to learn how to do income trades with individual stocks, Ron teaches a course called the Options Paycheck, which goes into more detail, but it'll be a nice additional tap you can open up. All right. Ragu says, do you put in for the trade at exactly 9:30 a.m. or does the time matter?
Time really doesn't matter. We do it at 9:30 just because that's when the market opens, and it kind of works in with the schedule of all of my other classes that I do. But no, it doesn't have to be done at 9:30. You can go in at 2 o'clock and do it, or 3 o'clock and do it. It doesn't matter.
All right. Samuel says, after this challenge class course, what's next for us? Well, everybody's a little different, Samuel. I'll give you my take. Ron can give you his take. We've worked with some people who only do SPX trades. So some people will say, this is good. All I need is this. I'll still do my stock investing and manage my portfolio of stocks. And they just have this little income stream open. Like, as I just said, one tap. Other people say, hey, I want to open up more taps. And they might say, well, let me do some more SPX trading, or let me do some on stocks. And then it's up to you on what you want to do. Everybody's a little bit different on how much time they want to spend and what they want to do. I don't know, Ron, what would you say?
No, I mean, I think that you pretty much said it right there. I don't think I can add to that, but yeah, I mean, it's, if you want to put more into it, you certainly can with different ideas. But this is kind of where the paycheck lies up too. A lot of you've heard of the paycheck course. This is kind of like a good primer for the paycheck course. You're going to learn how to be a seller, and then the paycheck kind of teaches you how to go into every market and do it.
All right. So next up, we have just a couple more questions. Shanjis, I think I might have butchered that name, but it says, I assume you'll be doing credit spreads on the SPX. That's correct. We are not going to do iron condors, as you're asking, in this challenge. We're going to be very straightforward. One trade, credit spread. The webinar replay, Anil, of today will come out sometime tonight. Shanjis, the details of the trade will be taught in the challenge. So you're asking like the specifics of the strikes and the whatever. That's all in the challenge. John says, do you need to be a member of the Facebook group to log into the chat group? Unfortunately, yeah. The discussion board is all through a Facebook group. Right. But yeah, I mean, you could call our office and talk to members of our staff. If they can't answer your question, they'll track us down and ask and get back to you. But if you want to be in there with Ron and John and myself and your other classmates, it's done through a Facebook group. And with that, Ron, I don't see any other questions. So what I'm going to do is thank everybody for being here. I'm going to pass it over to you to wrap things up for the night.
All right, sounds good. Well, I will also thank everybody for coming. I do appreciate it. I always enjoy doing these income challenges. They really are fun, and it's just so simple. That's the beauty of this. If you've never done this before, anybody can seriously get into this and really just start making this happen for them. It's that simple, and I think I've boiled it down to just exactly what you need to know. So for those of you that are in, hey, welcome. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys starting next week for your live check-ins. And then get ready for October 4th, because that is when we are going to place our first income trade together. So thanks everybody again. Have a great evening. And it's been fun with you guys this last hour. Thank you, John, and thank you, Brian, as well. And we'll see you guys all next week. Take care, everybody.